Good evening. Quick video on the question that we've seen dozens of times already this year. We see it dozens of times every year. And it's a really good one to use the group search function, which I'll talk a little bit about. But the question is, can a school give you a grade, give your kid a grade for their score on the benchmark? Okay? Question, answer, yes. We'll explain that. But can the school take a grade on the benchmark? Yes, they can. This has been discussed every year, dozens of times, because this is one of the things schools do to try and keep you from opting out. They go, it's for a grade. It's for a grade. Can't opt out. You'll have to take a 0 if you opt out, is what they tell you. And they absolutely can do that, okay? But when you come into the group with a question like that, you got to think you're not the only person in the world with that issue. Go to the little search box, little magnifying glass or whatever it is, and type in benchmark grade. And you'll probably get 24 different answers and responses. You'll see what other districts are doing, and you'll see what the administrators have had to say about it. But let's talk about the actual question. Can a school take a grade for your kids' benchmark efforts? They absolutely can. There's no prohibition on it. It's different than STAR. A benchmark is not STAR. Somebody asked that question just this afternoon. Is benchmark the same as STAR? No. In fact, they're different in some significant ways that can at least give you some comfort if you have to take them. Number one, they're almost always in the format of STAR or they're release stars, which has some implications that we'll talk about. So they're not going to be very well put together. They're not going to be very valid in what they're trying to assess. And if your kid gets anxiety over the structure of STAR, they'll probably get some anxiety over the benchmarks. But let's talk about what benchmarks are and they are not. Unlike STAR, benchmarks are not used to punish other students. They're not used to punish other schools. The grades of one kid aren't used to assess punishment on another kid. Districts don't get taken over because of benchmark scores. Teachers don't get fired because of benchmark scores. I'm sure someone out there go, my friend is a teacher and she got me. Okay. Not in the same way that STAR works. Okay. STAR is an organized, systematic data mining effort that has a statutorily and regulatory created and then administratively created methodology for punishing people, students, teachers, campuses, districts, all of that. You don't have that with benchmarks. By and large, they're just tracking where the kid is in terms of getting ready to prepare for the STAR. So yeah, it's STAR prep, and obviously we prefer you not take it, and if you don't want to take it, you shouldn't take it. But what if the district says we're going to take a grade? You can at least take solace in the fact that if you participate, your kid's score is not going to be used to do bad things to other kids. So there's that, and that should give you some comfort if you decide that you have to take it. Some parents say, since benchmarks aren't used to punish campuses, schools, teachers, etc., we're just going to take it. We're going to save our energy for the big fight, which is STAR. Bravo, 100%. Your kid, your decision. Nobody here is going to tell you that's a bad decision. Other parents say we have nothing to do with STAR, and that includes benchmarks because they just, exemplify how the school is sold out to STAR. Bravo, 100%. We support you. You don't want to take it because it's saying something about what the school believes in STAR. We back you up on that 100%. So this is one of those areas where in this group you can go either way, and you can have some comfort in it, and you don't have to worry about justifying yourself. But the biggest issue is when parents have kids who actually have the anxiety, have the physical reaction to it, and they don't want to take it, and the school says, we're going to take it for a grade. So, what can you do? Well, there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, you can ask for an alternative assignment. And you can explain why. Look, we don't participate in STAR. This gives my kid all sorts of anxiety. Medically, it's going to be very bad for them. It's going to be psychologically traumatizing. It's no harm to the school if we don't take it. They don't have to give you an alternative assignment, but you can ask. You can always ask. Nothing wrong with that. But they don't have to give it to you. And if they don't, then you still got your decision to make. Okay? One of the more interesting things that I find is this discussion of, okay, you're going to take a grade on STAR. How exactly are you going to do that? You know, on the STAR benchmark. How exactly are you going to do that? Because usually these are STAR formatted or actual released STAR assessments, released STAR questions being used in a benchmark. Well, guys, STAR is not designed to fit in a 70 to 100 grading scale. It's not. You know, uh, most of the STAR assessments, kids are approaching grade level, i.e., passing, with a score somewhere in the low to mid 40s. True. So how can you look at me and say on STAR 43 is, you know, we're celebrating because we've met standard, but on benchmark it's 43 and it's a terrible failure? Makes no sense. It's fundamentally improper to take an assessment that is designed for a scaled scoring system and drop it on top of a 0 to 100 grading scale. So you have that conversation with the school. You know, well, tell me, how are you going to scale these results? Because this is based on STAR, and STAR is a scaled assessment. So if you're going to do that, tell us, how are you going to scale it? And I mean, I guess you can even like file a grievance if you got, if it, you know, if you got really motivated. But you know, it's just more a talking point than anything to make the point to the school that, you know, this is not right and this is not how STAR works, and you know, doing this as a benchmark is wrong. Now, you know, and you even suggest, look, if you want to take a participation grade, we don't have any problem with that. You know, 100 if you take it. Uh, but some schools are so sold out to STAR that they will actually try and grade it on a 0 to 100 scale. And they might say, oh, but you can correct it up to a 70. Well, big deal. Hey, a 70, I might be mastering my STAR, you know? It's just a ludicrous, you know, idea to take a scale assessment and grade it 0 to 100. And it'll tell you, is your school really sold out to STAR, or are they somewhat reasonable about it? But at any rate, you have that choice to make, and you can certainly, you know, work on trying to educate the school about why it's a bad idea to take this and score it on a 0 to 100 scale. It's just silly, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you look and it ends up like being a daily grade and it's not going to affect anything, then just skip it. Skip it. You know, tell them we're not going to do it. If it's a major grade and you got to take it, we'll take it, you know, and fight about the scaling and the scoring and all that. And they'll look at you with, you know, deer in the headlight looks, and, you know, hey, grab the raw scale score out of the grab the raw scale score out of the TA website and take it up there and say, okay, so in this school we see that, you know, 80% of the kids make a C or better in their classes. So here's the 80. Here's the top 80% of STAR. So, you know, if a kid gets this, what's their score going to be? It's going to be a 70. I don't know. They you know, just have a little fun with it. But at the end of the day, you know, here's the important takeaways. Number one, schools can take grades for benchmarks. They just can. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't have to. They shouldn't. A lot of them don't. And they shouldn't scale it, you know, 0 to 100 because that's not the way STAR's designed. But they can, you know, and you can protest, you can fight and all that, and you know, you should. But if you do decide that you have to take it, you know, that's a parent's choice, you know. And when it comes to STAR, you go, that's parents' choice. We go, yeah, but you're hurting other kids. You're hurting teachers. You're hurting campuses. You're hurting districts. We don't back you up on that. If your parent choice is to hurt other people, no support for that in this group. Benchmarks, hey, do what you want to do, okay? And we're not going to be second guessing you. So that's the answer to the question. They can do it. They probably shouldn't do it, but they do. All right, hey, you guys have a great evening.